Hey everyone, this is Seema, your English trainer, and today I'm in a very funny mood. Well, I'm in a funny mood, but nothing about my day was funny. Well, why am I talking about being funny? Because in English, sometimes some words like funny don't really have the meaning of being funny. Let me help you understand. Sometimes you can use the word funny without actually meaning that you are trying to be funny or trying to make a joke. And that is the reason why in today's lesson we will learn some funny expressions with funny even though it has got nothing to being funny. The first one is hit the funny bone. Now for those of you who don't know, we have one bone in our body that is called the funny bone. Can anyone guess what bone is that? Well, it's right here. So, it is the spot on your elbow, actually it is below your elbow here, that causes a tingling sensation when hit or struck suddenly. A lot of times when you're working and your elbow just strikes or brushes against something, you will feel a sort of tingling sensation. Well, that is you hitting your funny bone. And in the sentence you could say, I accidentally, because you accidentally do that, you don't do it purposely, I accidentally hit my funny bone on the door and it sent a weird tingle down my arm. Ouch. Well, that is hitting the funny bone. I have another expression with funny, which is funny looking. Now, obviously, we're talking about looking, which means we're talking about appearance, the way someone looks. So, if you are describing someone or even maybe something that appears odd, unusual or strange or weird looking, well, that's called funny looking. Now, this sweater is something that is a little unusual, right? I wouldn't wear this every day. I wouldn't wear this if I went to the grocery store. So, I can say it was a funny looking sweater. I'd never wear that even if I were dying of cold. Okay, it's a more over dramatic way of saying I'm never wearing something that looks so strange. Okay, all right, let's look at another expression, which is have a funny feeling. Now, a feeling is something that you kind of think about on the inside. You think about something and you go like, that's strange or that's weird, right? So, having a funny feeling is a sense, you sense it on the inside, that something is not right. Okay, you're suspicious or something unexpected is about to happen, right? You're not getting a good feeling. It's sort of like an unpleasant feeling, but we use the word funny feeling, all right? So, I can say, I have a funny feeling that we are going to run into traffic on the way home. All right, it's not a good feeling, right? Because the anticipation that you will find traffic is not a good feeling. It makes you feel anxious, it makes you feel stressed out. So, you have a funny feeling about it. All right, let's move on to our next funny expression, which is not very funny, but the expression is feels funny. Now, what does this mean? It basically means that you are feeling unwell. So, if you're feeling unwell, you can say that you're feeling a little funny. That's okay. In a sentence, you could say, my stomach feels funny. I hope I don't fall ill. Or, I'm feeling a little funny today. I hope I don't have the viral flu. Okay. So, the next time you call in sick, you now know what expression to use. All right. You just feel a little funny. And that's okay. All right, time for our next funny expression, a funny smell. Well, I'm sure you must have guessed by now what it could mean. It is basically a way of describing a strange smell or an unfamiliar odor. And believe me, this odor is not really a nice odor. It's just unfamiliar in a very strange way. All right, so I can say, there's a funny smell coming from the kitchen. I hope she's not burnt the chicken again. Now, a lot of times, people like me who are not good at cooking, We go into the kitchen, we try to do some things in the kitchen, and guess what? We end up burning certain things, or we end up putting things that we shouldn't put while cooking. And what happens? There is a funny smell that emanates from the kitchen. Okay, that's a unfamiliar odor or a strange smell. Okay, all right, let's move on to our next expression, which is a funny look. Okay, now don't confuse this with funny looking. Okay, funny looking means you appear odd, something appears weird. But a funny look means you are giving somebody a look, which means you are looking at somebody in a way that shows that you are confused, you are suspicious of them, you are amused by what you're seeing, and whatever you're seeing happens to be very unusual, right? So it is a funny look you are giving somebody else, all right? So I can say the other day we were creating a video on the street and the passerbys gave us a funny look. Now, how many of you create reels? I'm sure sometimes you create reels on the road. And when you do that, you're probably dancing and talking in front of the camera, and there are some passerbys looking at you and going, they're like, what are they even doing? They're giving you a funny look. Have you ever been given the funny look? Well, let me know in the comments. Okay, we'll go to our next funny expression, which is not funny, and that is funny business. Can any business be funny? Well, not really. Business is serious, but funny business has got nothing to do with trade or any kind of profession. Funny business is just a way of describing a behavior that you think is suspicious, dishonest, or not quite right. So some people behave in a funny way. They behave in a way that shows that they are not being morally right or ethically right. That's when you call their behavior funny business. So you can say, I want no funny business in class today. You're going to pay attention in class. Okay? Since I have taught for many years, I used to first teach in schools. And in schools, you have some kids who definitely misbehave. They don't behave quite right. That's when you can say, hey, no funny business. You want to pay attention in class. Okay? Try using that with people who misbehave. It does sound nice and it's a new way of speaking. All right? We'll go to our next phrase, which is, the funny thing is. Now, this is an expression. This does not mean anything, but it is an expression used before telling someone that what is happening does not make sense. So before you describe something which does not logically make sense to you, you will use this expression before describing it. Let me help you understand. I can say, our landlord is strict, but the funny thing is, he's been extra sweet lately, even though my roommate was behind on rent. As I mentioned to you, I am describing something that does not make sense. So, my landlord, if he is a very strict person, why would he suddenly be very sweet? It does not make sense, right? So, before I describe this thing that does not make sense, I will use the expression before it. So, the funny thing is, he's being sweet lately, even though my roommate is behind on rent. Okay? I would like you all to put in the comments one sentence with this expression. I'm sure you come across various things that don't logically make sense. Can you use this expression? Please put that down. All right. In the meantime, we'll move on to our next expression, which is, funny you should ask. Okay, well, this again is an expression used when someone is asking you something. But what are they asking you? You will use this expression when you are trying to say that the question somebody has asked you is surprisingly coincidental. Let me give you an example. Suppose Ria tells me, Seema, could you submit that report? Now, believe me, it's a surprising coincidence that I just submitted the report. So, I will say, funny you should ask. I actually just did. So, as you can see, what she asked me was a coincidence because I just submitted the report, which is exactly what she asked me about. And therefore, I use the expression, funny you should ask before mentioning what I coincidentally did in accordance with what she just asked me. Okay, I hope that makes sense, and I hope you can use it when someone asks you a question which is a coincidence of what you actually just did. All right, well, we'll look at our last funny expression, which, like I said, is not meant to be funny, and that is funny money. Well, this sounds like it's a rhyme, right? Funny money. Is money funny? No, but it's a slang term, okay? So it's not, money cannot really be funny, but it's a slang term to use or to describe a currency that is fake or counterfeit or anything that is not genuine. Okay, so we all have counterfeit money, you may have heard about it, you may have even seen it, and that is funny money. So I can say the cashier noticed the bill was funny money and refused to accept it. Okay, so if you give somebody a $10 note and if the bill or the $10 bill is not real, that's called funny money. All right. Well, I hope this lesson was interesting and it was a fun lesson for you, even though a lot of these words you are currently using them, but you don't know how to use them using the funny expressions. But now you do, so go ahead and use them. In fact, I would encourage you to put your sentences in the comments so that I can see how much you actually know to use these words and these expressions. I'll be back with some more lessons. Until then, this is me, Seema, saying take care and keep learning.